Do you struggle to come up with awesome NPC names on the fly? Do you falter when describing locations to your players? I can help you with that. Welcome creators, I am Holistic Dungeon Master and I help DMs master their craft with helpful videos like this one, where I share with you 3 simple, fun, and effective improv games you can play that will help you master these skills and make your players feel as though you are a DM who is prepared for anything. If you're enjoying my content so far, then please like the video, crit the subscribe button and notification bell. Now let's get rolling. Nearly hit the camera. Take 2. It was my first game of Dungeons and Dragons. I was the DM running Lost Mines of Phandelver for my small group of friends. We gathered around the table, we got our snacks and our dice and our character sheets ready. Everything so far was going really great. The players were having fun introducing their characters to each other, and our first combat with a group of goblins from the Many Arrows tribe was as hilarious as it was exhilarating. But then the gang rocked up into Phandalin, kind of on the outskirts of it, where a group of red-cloaked thugs were harassing a local farmer. They saved the guy, and our paladin asked a question which humbled my quickly growing confidence as a new DM. "What's your name, sir?" Sweat began to pour from my brow and my brain essentially turned into fudge. A long and uncomfortable pause drew out until finally the fight or flight part of my mind kicked in. And to this day, I am not sure which part that was when I blurted out, Brian? Humiliation, shame, defeat. Luckily, my group found such an out of place name in this setting funny, but I really felt as though the rug was kind of pulled out from under me and my confidence in my ability to run a fun session for my friends kind of went with it. I realized that I was massively underprepared to pull good NPC names out of somewhere. Out of nowhere. Out of somewhere. I guess they've got to come from somewhere, these names. This is a feeling I'm sure all of you seasoned DMs are very intimately familiar with, especially at the start. Now we know with much experience and much trial and error how to quickly recover from that feeling, but the first time it happens, it can be quite devastating. But that's okay because improv is difficult. It is hard. Luckily, like any skill, we can really master it. And over the years, I've developed some fun and most importantly, effective improv games that you can play by yourself or with friends that will transform your D&D improv into something truly masterful. These games have really helped me gain massive confidence in my improv during sessions, and now I truly feel as though I am ready for anything that my players throw at me. Let's start with the one that helped me improvise much better names than Brian for my NPCs. Before we get into the video any further, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to my Patreon subscribers. I really appreciate the support you're giving this channel, and it will help me make better content in the future. More info about how you can support the channel at the end of the video. The NPC Name Game. This is a great one to play with your friends, other DMs. You can play it by yourself if you kind of, take the time to make flashcards. I'll explain in a moment. So basically, have one person and the other. You can add more than 2, but let's just keep it simple for now. You take this in turns. One person prompts the NPC namer with a race, a gender, and occupation. For example, a female elf clerk. The NPC namer then has to quickly come up with a full name based on these prompts. It has to be fast, it has to be off the top of your head, and the players then switch roles back and forth. Some names will be horrible, some will be hilarious, but some will be excellent. And you will get better over time. The excellent number of names will increase over time, especially if you make this a daily practice. Then once you get the hang of it, you can get creative with each of these criteria. It's good to start with traditional fantasy races, genders, and occupations, but branch out when you start to get the hang of it. Xanathar's Guide to Everything has a great NPC naming resource that you can use for inspiration. I think it's at the back of the book. I'll put it up on screen here now, and you can see it's divided by race, it's divided by gender. I believe it's divided also by culture too. So you can use this for inspiration. If most of your names end up being quite horrible, you can give a read through this and it'll inspire you. This next game is similar to this, but it doubles the improv improvement. This game is inspired by Sly Flourish's The Lazy DM's Guide, right there. Fantastic book, I always recommend it here on the channel. You'll find a link to buy it in the description below. In this book, there is a fantastic, a great method for preparing to improvise locations by giving them each an evocative name and 3 fantastical aspects that you can use as a base to improvise the location in session as your party explores and interacts with it. I have a great video about preparing to improvise, you'll find it right there. Again, you can play this alone with flashcards, but it's really much better with friends, like everything in life. Also, the main point of this game is that each person is practicing improv during each turn. In the last one, it's really only the NPC namer, but in this one, it's both. One person comes up with an evocative location name, so they have to get good improvising evocative location names and kind of concepts. Just for one kind of terrible example off the top of my head, the Bridge of Icy Death, and the other person has to provide 3 fantastical aspects to it. So for example, there's always a magical wind blowing through here, giving a sort of supernatural chill to the bones. Suspended above these bridges are dozens and dozens of crystalline blue semi-glowing icicles that could fall at any moment. And in order to cross safely, one must answer the question truthfully. When that's done, you switch roles. So it's similar to the last game, but now every turn, someone is getting better at something, right? One person's getting better at coming up with cool concepts and names for these fantastic locations, and the other is getting better at improvising interesting things about these locations. In the book, The Lazy Dungeon Master's Guide, the author explains that it is very difficult to improvise locations and their aspects on the fly. And it is, very much so, or at least I find that. But I found that by playing this game, it's definitely something you can get better at. And if you can come up with excellent location concepts and cool things about them for your parties to interact with and explore through, how much more confident are you going to feel when your party goes somewhere that you didn't prepare for? You can just drop one of these things, you can come up with it on the fly, and again, your players will feel as though you are ready for everything, because you are. This last game is super important for providing lush descriptions to inspire vivid imagination and immersion in your players. Architect Dialect. If you've been watching my videos, then you probably already know that describing architecture is one of my main weaknesses as a dungeon master. I just find it very difficult. I don't know what the architectural terms are, and I've been kind of avoiding improving the skill because I just didn't really know how to go about it. But I've recently discovered a way it's really helping me get better with my location descriptions. They're still not fantastic, but we're improving a little bit, little by little. This is a very simple game too, and it's one that you can absolutely play alone or with friends equally effectively. The gist is that you pull up some sort of architectural scene, you can pull something off Google Images or print out a bunch of them to use as flashcards. Then you just simply try to describe it to the best of your ability. It's really that easy, and you will get better over time if you do this regularly. You will probably suck at it to start with, but the goal is to get better over time, right? But there are some things you can do that will amplify your descriptive improv. You can research architectural terms that have visual examples, right? Balustrades, palisades, eaves, avenues, flying buttresses, the list goes on and on and on. It's quite an arcane subject. There are bunches of terms for everything. And the thing is, you've seen these things already. You've seen them in real life, or you've seen them in movies or shows. And if you can find the words to describe these things, then your descriptions will be that much more vivid. An extra boost to the effectiveness of this game is to look at the visual prompt, try to describe it to a friend, then show them the prompt, show them the flashcard or the image, and then ask them how close their interpretation was to the image based on your description. Maybe they can rate it out of 10. Ooh, also, you don't have to, I was just thinking of it in terms of architecture, but you don't have to limit it to this. You can use images of nature, craggy cliffs, lush forests. The sky's the limit here, really. This one definitely requires a little more effort than the other two, a little bit more homework looking up these terms for architecture and landscapes, actually. But it's worth every minute spent doing it, because building beautiful and vivid descriptions in your players' minds with just your words alone is such a powerful thing, and it massively deepens immersion. I hope that you're just as excited to try these improv games as I am to hear how you all got on with them. Type in the comments below if you try them. They really do work, and with a little persistence, you and your players will notice how much better your improv becomes. It can be really startling. Of course, this wouldn't be a HDM video featuring separate elements without exploring how they can all work holistically together. Just imagine, by mastering the game fantastic aspects, you can instantly come up with fantastic, of course, and interesting locations. By becoming the architect and learning the architect's dialect, you can vividly describe these locations and truly draw your players into your world and make it real in their minds. And by constantly playing the NPC game, which is very fun, by the way, you can populate these scenes, these locations, with characters that have believable, ridiculous, or even hilarious names that suit them perfectly. If all of these games did just this for you in your session and your players, how much more confident would you feel during every single session? How immersed would your players be? If you can't find people to practice these excellent improv games with, then jump into our Discord server, HTM Community Discord server. We run events with DMs to play these very games so that we can help each other improve or improv. You'll find it down in the description below. Now you've become a master at coming up with great NPC names. How about their stories? I've written a bunch of system-neutral, story-focused, archetypal NPCs with no stats, mechanics, anything like that, so you can drop them into really any system, and you can get started fleshing out your game and locations with characters your players can't really help but to connect with on a deep level. I'm giving it away for free, and you'll find it down in the description below. You've heard a lot from me, now I want to hear from you. In fact, we all do. Please get typing down in the comments below. Let us know, which of these games are you most excited to play? Which weaknesses are you looking specifically to shore up? Have you tried improv games before, these ones or different ones? Have they helped you run better sessions? Let us all know down there so we can foster this community of DMs who really help each other hone their craft. If you've watched this video up until now, then you are the DM that I make these videos for. Someone who is truly dedicated to becoming the best DM that they can be. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like the video, share it with another DM who would like to play some of these improv games with. For those of you who want to support the channel further, you'll find the link to my Patreon in the description below. If you join and subscribe, you can really get an input to what content is made here on the channel. Or if you'd like a lovely, nice, free way to support the channel, then crit the subscribe button and notification bell. And remember, this world needs good DMs that can improv really well.